Greetings, salutations, one and all. Welcome back to the Ultimate Hockey Show. After a mere 1 month hiatus, we are back. I mean, it was a total of 5 weeks actually. While we had technical difficulties, illness, and I was working through some major tournaments, but required a lot of my attention. We are now through the busiest month of production at Game Time TV, and I can now focus on sitting down and hammering out a weekly hockey show. Welcome back. Lots to discuss. My name is Michael Dale. For those that have forgotten, my co-host is Red Petty. Although we've only been on for about 5 weeks, a lot has happened in about a span of 5 weeks. But Rich, I have not really seen you in the last 5 weeks because my schedule is kind of taking me away. Your schedule is kind of taking you away. So we
Yeah.
are conversing for the first time. Um, this might be like the longest conversation we've had in 5 weeks between each other. But how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I was just away in warm climate and now coming back to -20. That's a little bit of an adjustment. But otherwise okay. How about you?
I don't know. I hear it was pretty nice when you left, and you may have brought the cold weather back with you because
No,
coincidentally it
no,
starts
no,
the day you come back.
no. It
So
was yeah. No, it
I don't
was
know. We
very
might
nice.
have a discussion with the weatherman about that one. No, I'm okay. We got through the tournaments okay. Be honest, I haven't watched the Jets game in about 3 weeks up until a couple of days ago. Um, I'm hearing from friends, but apparently I haven't missed much. Um, Boy, do we have lots to discuss. So I spent a part of today doing my day job and then recapping sort of what we missed with the Winnipeg Jets and the NHL as a whole. And let's just say it, I don't know where to start. Um, this could probably be the 5 week black hole, if you want to call it that. That the Winnipeg Jets are looking back on if they don't make the playoffs. This particular run, we can go through it. I don't necessarily want to go through it game by game because I think we'd be talking about the same themes over multiple games. Um, but let's start with this. The Winnipeg Jets drop a news bomb early in the month of November, a few weeks after our show last hit the air, and they said, "Oh yeah, we are not going to be without Connor Hellebuck for 4 to 6 weeks."
Hmm.
Um, wow. Okay. Eric Comrie, the goaltender. They end up calling up Thomas Milich at the time. We now know that it is Dom Devin Chintis being called up as of this morning.
Yep.
But it's a Winnipeg Jets team that does not have any secondary scoring. Your highest prized free agent has not done much. Your second highest priced free agent can't even get in the lineup. Um, your fourth line has barely scored with the exception of 2 games ago,
Yep.
and you have a big black hole on your second line where nobody seems to really know what's going on. Your captain is now the second line center. At practice today, your most hyped acquisition in Jonathan Toews is now your fourth line left winger. Dylan Sandberg is back. Logan Stanley might be the best defenseman on the team right now behind Josh Morrissey. And I don't even think that's hyperbole at this point.
Hmm.
But it's befuddling to me how a team has forgotten to play defense and to not find any secondary scoring. And I mean any secondary scoring.
Yeah.
If you look in the last 2 or 3 weeks at the Jets line chart, Connor Shifley Velarde, Connor Shifley Velarde, Connor Shifley Connor. Oh, and then a few Tappies and Barons and whoever else was on the fourth line the other night against a not very good Buffalo Sabres team. So
Yeah.
I don't take that game of any kind of consequence of future results. So my question to you is this. As we welcome back our audience, we'll get to them in just a minute. Have I done a good job surmising the problems of the Winnipeg Jets in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, like it hasn't been good. Has it been 5 weeks? It hasn't been quite that. Like I I remember, did we not have a show? Like, I was thinking back, like the Jets are 3-6-1 in their last 10. And that's also the length at which Hellebuck has been out. He's been out to 10 games now. So the last game he played was in Calgary on November 15th.
Yeah, and we did not have a show any in the 2 weeks leading up to that either.
Okay.
But it's just coincidence because it seems to me like we got all these guys back in the lineup and we thought that was going to fix the problem, but they haven't won a lot since all the guys that were out early in the season came back.
Yeah. Well, if you're asking me what my analysis is, I think it's a number of things that have come all together and that are now exposing the Jets. So, which any team, and I'm not saying it's unique to the Winnipeg. I mean, any team, if you take away certain players, it kind of exposes the weaknesses for the other lines, because one great player can make a team really good. Case in point, Edmonton. Edmonton has a lot of weakness, but they outscore and they outchance their weakness because of McDavid and to a large extent as well Draisaitl, and how they make the guys around them play even better. But that being said, I think it's a whole bunch of things. So if you want to go through, I'll say number one, when you have Connor Hellebuck, like after seeing the Jets playing for the last 2 weeks, or actually 3 weeks, because it's 10 games roughly in about 21 days, I think, or so. I think it's been since November 18th. Oh, yeah. So it's been about 21 days. What you see is a team, like I could tell you this, is that, and they're not going to say it because they're just not going to say that, because some of it's even psychological, and they're not going to throw Eric Comrie under the bus. But when you have a certain goalie and you know how he's going to play, you play on the front of your skates, whatever analogy you want to use. You play a little bit aggressively. You skate with confidence. You go up the ice. You just play your game. You don't think about, oh, is Hellebuck going to make a save? Because you count on him making a save, and you just play in a certain mindset. Well, now you take Hellebuck out of the mix, and now you got Comrie, and then you got the third string in either Milic or DiVincentis, or exactly how you spell or say his last name, I'm not sure. But anyway,
Yep.
Now you got them in the lineup, and now you say, oh, can they make a save? Oh, I have to play a little bit better defensively. And so what happens is you don't stride up the ice as quickly. You don't maybe make that extra step, or you don't make that extra jump into the play to create a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-2 or whatever it is if you're a defenseman, because, oh, I got to be back because Comrie or Milic is not Hellebuck. So I think that's part of it. Number two, I agree with you. Second line scoring, or third line, fourth line for that matter, has just gone, the way of the dodo bird. It's just gone. Like, it's just, and I can't figure out why, because these are all guys that have scored in the NHL before. But I think it adds to this problem, which is the third problem, is that the impact of losing Nick Ehlers on your team. Nick Ehlers, people can rag on him all you want. Okay, he's a good hockey player, and he's one of the fastest players in the NHL. So by having him on your team, it makes your second power play better. It makes you faster. Whoever he plays with immediately has instant cred coming into the offensive zone, because you're forced as a defensive minded players, when you're defending your zone, you skate a little bit backwards because he's coming at you quicker. So he right away makes Nemestikov or Perfetti or whoever else he plays with that much better. Now he's gone. We lost Tanev, who was fast, and we lost Appleton, who's a good skater. I wouldn't say fast, but he's a good skater. So the team has now gone from being one of the faster teams in the league, and not, sort of middle of the road in terms of age. The 3 free agents that they sign, or 4, Pearson, Nyquist, and Taves, are all over 35. Kopke, I think, is 31, 32. So all your free agents are over 30. Now you're the oldest team in the NHL. And you know what? The Jets are a little bit slow. I don't know if you noticed that. Now, this could be because they're
Yeah.
tired. Everybody's tired. But they're slow. They don't have any Zumpf, as we'd say in German, in their skating. No, no Zumpf. And so that makes it, they're kind of a plodding, blah, 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 which is fine. Lots of teams, look at LA, they're not overly fast, but they play defense, they plod along, and they win a lot of games. But I'm just saying the whole way that they played was structured, I think, to a large degree on putting pressure on the other team, putting pressure in the offensive zone on the other team, and turning over pucks either in the offensive zone or in the neutral zone.
That was predicated mostly on team speed, in my opinion, though.
Right. And they're not able to do that anymore. And so now you got this thing where you got one line that's playing great, the other three, not so much. Power play is okay, scoring goals here and there. The penalty kill was better. It hasn't been as great lately. But I think now you've got Arniel now saying, I can't go on. I can't just win games thinking that one line is going to score and maybe hopefully we get a few power play chances and score power play goals. You can't. So I don't know if you saw the latest, but I had a look and they said that the line rushes in practice today.
Yeah.
Iafallo moved up to the first line with Scheifele and Connor. Nemestikov is centering Pearson and Perfetti, which I like because there's some weight and some heaviness there because Nemestikov and Perfetti are softer players, a little bit smaller. Then you got Lowry centering Velarde and Niederreiter, which is a great big checking line that I think can also score. And then you have the fourth line, Barron, Taves, and Koepke. And then Nyquist is your black ace or your extra. So I think at least what I'm looking at here is Arniel saying, I can't put all the eggs into one basket, or whatever analogy you want to use. I think he's basically saying, how can I get more out of the guys I have and spread around and make guys better by the guys that I have them playing with? And I think that's what he's trying to do by having the Nemestikov and Perfetti playing with Pearson and Lowry and Niederreiter now playing with Velarde, and Taves. Well, he was playing second line. He hasn't played well enough to be on second line. So now he's on the fourth line. So we'll see. But he's still good in the face-off, and he's still great for other reasons. So let's try something new. I don't know. For me, if it ain't working, you got to try something else. Even though I love Scheifele, Connor, and Velarde together, I just think you can't continue doing that at the expense of 9 other players, in my opinion. But so
what do you do?
Well, you do exactly what you're doing now. You have to play this way. These are your guys. You're not going to trade and bring in fast guys and get rid of your slugs. I mean, you can't. You signed them. Like that. It is what it is. You want to make your team faster? I mean, I guess you could bring up an Chibrikov and Lambert, and you could send down Taves or Pearson or whoever else is not holding up. But I don't know.
Did we underestimate the value of Nikolai Ehlers?
Well, I think a lot of people did. I didn't, but I wish they would have signed him. But it is what it is now. This is where we're at. But I think it's a huge thing now that the Jets have to deal with the fact they are the oldest team in the league on average, like when you average out the ages, and they are not overly fast, but they're also not overly physical. They're not like a big, tough team because they got some softer players and smaller players. So they're not like the Bruins of old or the Flyers of old.
Yeah.
So that's not their identity, is playing tough and big. They're not overly fast. They're not overly talented. They have some talent. And they're not playing their defensive style because their number one goalie's out. And so they're not playing right in front of their number 2 or their number 3 goalie. And so all those things together make for a team that's now 3-6-1 in their last 10. And before that were 3 and 4 of their previous 7 before that. So they're just not a good team right now. And if Hellebuyck comes back, I don't know that necessarily solves all the problems. It won't make you faster. Maybe it makes you play more confidently. maybe this line juggling is the way to go. I think it's the only thing you can do. So, but
No, that's fair. Rob asked the question: do either of you think Kyle Connaughton drive his own line?
yeah, I think he's good enough. But having him with Shifley, it's just they're just yin and yang. I mean, you could separate them, but they see the ice the same way. They're so syncopated in terms
Yep.
of how they know where each other is going to be on the ice from having played together for so long. And Iafallo played well into that when Velarde was hurt. If you remember, whether it was at the beginning of the season or last year, and Iafallo filled in there, he did fairly well. So I think this is a good move. Iafallo can skate. He can, he'll go into corners. He'll chew up pucks. He'll go to the front of the net. He'll knock down passes or he'll knock down pucks and deflect things in front. But yeah, so I don't know. How about for you? Like, do you think they got to? I mean, I think they got to try something, right?
Yeah, I just don't know, given the ice time, the way things are broken down with, if you can
Yeah.
afford to have all three on their own line.
Like you're saying, split up Connor, Shifley, and Velarde onto 3 different lines?
I don't know if you can, because I don't believe you have the adequate ice time enough.
Well, right. Like, I mean, it depends how they roll the lines, but it looks like right now, Velarde's playing on the third line with Niederreiter and Lowry. So,
I mean, is that to get some kind of offense going?
true, and he's big, and he's a good checker. Velarde is a very good defensive player. That's why he makes that line, Connor Shifley and Velarde. I mean, he may not score a lot of goals, but he covers up a lot of defensive errors by the other two because they're so hyped on scoring goals. So,
Is this a bigger problem with all these guys signed long term? Like Velarde just signed a long term contract. Sandberg signed a 3-year. DeMello signed long term. Like, to me, they've been married to this group for the large part of the next 5 to 7 years, and I realize, Dustin Nyquist and Jonathan Toews are only 1-year contracts, but like, to me, this is going to be a problem because I think, and I was having this discussion with people today and yesterday and on the weekend, and I think, Rob, you were kind of alluding to this in our conversation earlier today. I have to wonder, like, did Chevy inadvertently slam the window even more closed on this group by the moves that he made?
I don't think so. He wants to win now. Listen, Michael, I'm not
Yeah, I
saying.
know, but getting older and getting slower a way to win now this is my question.
Well, and maybe this again, the slowness could be because you're playing in front of a different goalie. It is a mindset that way that you just right away, oh, I got to be better in my own zone. I'm not going to jump into the play. I'm not going to skate up the ice that hard because I got to be back to help out because Comrie and Milic or Devin Chinnis or whatever. Sorry, I got to get his name right. They're not as good as Hellebuck, and they may not make a save that Hellebuck can make. So that could be in the back of their mind. But I'm just saying, you could change up this very easily. You could next year, you don't re-sign Taves and Nyquist, and you let Lambert and Chibrikov play, and there you got 2 young guys that can skate. I just think the Jets are not doing enough, in my opinion,
Right,
to bring newer, younger, enthusiastic, hard skating, quicker players into the lineup. Like when
I think they're not even drafting them stylistically.
When was the last time that a new young kid came into the lineup? That was Perfetti, and that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right?
Yep.
So
and then Lambert gets this shade for like 2 or 3 games, and Chibrikov gets 2 or 3 games, and then it's out to the Moose, where they're doing very well. I believe it. To be honest, like, if you want an energizer bunny that's like a Brendan Tanev, I fully believe it was a mistake to send Parker Ford back to the Moose.
Well, and he could still come up. I mean, that could be maybe their strategy for next year, right? Is Ford,
Yeah, but what
Chibrikov.
do you do this year? Like this team, Rit, is not going to make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, they're a 5-and-out, maybe.
Right now, the way they're playing, yes. But only 1/3 of the season has gone by, and your number one goalie, your very best player, is out of the lineup. So I'm not I'm not doing doom and gloom. I'm looking at the positive and stating they have to weather the storm, and they
Yeah.
could very easily come out of that just above 500, still in a position to strike and to put together a whole bunch
Yeah,
of games.
I think Rit, though, I'm just looking at, Colorado, which is an absolute wagon. Minnesota's played well. Dallas has played well. Like to me right now, I don't see either one of those those three teams dropping off. I think the best way for the Jets to get in the playoffs is the wild card. And then I ask myself, is that worth it?
Yeah.
Right? Because
Well,
we had this discussion 2 years ago when they played Vegas, and it was what, 5 games, and Rick Bonus said we had to be better, and there was that kind of commitment.
yeah.
I don't know. I just said, are you okay making the playoffs if it's a wild card team? You could say, oh yeah, they could turn it around, but they'd have to turn it around quite significantly ASAP to have a shot at one of the three top spots in the Central. And even then, I'm not too sure if it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, last I looked, it was a 10-point difference to get, even to third in the Central. I realized games in hand, but like, Rich, I just looked at this last week. Like, they started Monday in Buffalo, had the worst game I think of the season, the worst period of the season. Like, as somebody that's watching like Jets games sparingly now because of my November schedule,
Yeah.
that game in Buffalo was the first game I was actually able to watch, and I turned it on, and quite honestly, I turned it off 10 minutes later. And then, they went to Montreal. They lost in a shootout. That was probably one of their better games from what I heard
Yeah.
in some time. And then they beat Montreal or Buffalo, sorry, at home. Then for some obscure reason, have to go on the airplane to Edmonton, where they play Eric Comrie again on a bat-to-bat and can't get out of the first period without avalanching themselves deficit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do we blame it on the schedule? Do we blame it on no Hellebuck? Do we just like I don't know where to start. Like I'm so confused. I'm so confused how a group that's largely intact from last year has suddenly reverted to the ways of 2 and 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is not having Hellebuck in the lineup because for the most part, it's coincided with that. I mean, you could argue, say, okay, well, that road trip out west, they didn't do very well and ended up what they were 2-4, I believe, on that trip.
Yep.
So, but they played some very good teams: Los Angeles, San Jose, Anaheim, all on the rise. All
Yep.
young teams. Well, I say LA is LA, but Anaheim and San Jose, superstars on those teams, and Carlson and Macklin and so yeah, so I think the Jets they're transitioning from that young upstart team from 2018 into the early 2020s, and then through COVID, and now and they're now their players are in their early to mid 30s. They're superstar guys like Scheifele, Connor, Hellebuck, Morrissey. They're all 31, 32. So I just saying
So is
like
this prime for those four? Or is this the window shutting?
the window's not shutting, but you got to, in my opinion, you have to
Right.
complement with younger players, not with older players, in
Yep.
my opinion.
No,
Now,
no, and that's 100% right. And maybe the Jets draft philosophy's been around all along.
yeah. And who knows, maybe they have to do that. Maybe they just decide after this experiment this thing with Hellebuck being out, if they can't turn it around, like will they still be loyal to all these guys that they signed, or will they just bring up young guys and sit those other guys or send them down?
Now, who are
The
you talking
Moose,
about as far as guys they signed? Nyquist, Tays and company?
Nyquist, Taves, Pearson, Kupke.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you're not suggesting any of the core players are about to be traded.
no, I'm
Okay,
saying
no, just wanted to clear that out.
transferring in young guys, hungry young guys for the old guys. Because if the old guys can't score and they can't defend, I would say, what good are they? I'm not going to say it like that. But if they
Right.
can't score and they can't defend and they can't help you win games, then why don't you bring young guys and let them mature and grow and play with veterans like Shifley and Lowry and Morrissey, etc. And
Okay, so let me turn this thing around then. What have you thought of the play of Elias Salamonson?
he's been very good. He was not good in that game against Washington. He caused two. How many goals did they get scored? A 4-3. He was responsible for 2 of the 4 goals against. So directly. So, but
But recently they've had him on a third pair, and then today in practice he's down to their eighth defenseman.
yeah,
So,
no,
but
it's
I just don't know how long you can afford to carry Colin Miller, Luke Shen, Gus Nyquist, Jonathan Tays,
but it's
Tanner
all about
Pearson.
injuries, Michael. It's about having people in place when
The depth has basically fallen apart. There is none.
yeah. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I mean, we don't have to beat a dead horse, but in my opinion, if you go through now, if you go, what's this now, beginning of December, if you go to Christmas, into the new year, after the Christmas break, actually for the first time now, hockey, I guess because they have the break or because there's the Olympics, everybody gets a Christmas break because the Jets get 6 days off over Christmas, hey?
Yep.
To get a big break. But anyway, you go up to or even the end of December, you got how many games now? 4, 7, 8. You got 10 more games to the end of the calendar year. You go through those 10 games. If you are not like you're not 8-2 or 7-2-1 or something, like you don't have a significant uptick
Yep.
in your play and in your record without Hellebuck. In my opinion, what's the point of keeping on plodding the same way? In my opinion, I would take those older guys, Nyquist, Taves, and Pearson for sure, and I'd send them down to the minors. If somebody wants to pick up their contracts going through waivers, knock yourself out. If not, send them. You're paying them anyway, so or make them,
Yep.
the black aces, whatever. How? But I know some guys you'd have to send down. You just would have to because you can't carry that many guys. But send them down and bring up Lambert, Chibrikov, Ford, whoever else down there.
Danny Zhelkin's really surprised me for the Moose. I mean, I watched the highlights of their games, and he just seems to be all over the place at center ice.
Who's that?
Danny Zhelkin.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's one of those scenarios of like you miscalculate, and I agree. Like, how do you complement an older core by bringing in even more older players? Like, it just like it doesn't compute, and maybe we miscalculated that. Um, so I mean, the question for me then becomes like, we're not talking to the level of Kevin Shoveldayoff losing his job here, are we?
No.
No, okay, just to be clear that
No,
I don't
this is
think that's
just a
going to
little
happen.
lull. I mean,
And
they're
I
not
also
going to win the President's Trophy year after year. It's just not possible. But there's something between being a little bit older, losing Ehlers, not injecting any youth this year, going with 4 older free agents, now losing Hellebuck, not you playing to the system the exact same way with the same enthusiasm as they previously had, which maybe
yep.
due to the fact that Hellebuck's not there. All those things combined make a team 3-6-1 over the last 10 or whatever
I'll
that is.
make a not a prediction, not a bet, whatever. I'll make a prediction. Braden Yager will play games in a Jets jersey in 2026.
Is he playing with the Moose right now?
Yep. And he's
See,
been one of
there's
their best
another one,
players.
Jaeger. Like I'm just saying, I'm not saying putting him on the first, like bringing in Lambert, Chibrikov, and Jaeger and putting him as the first line ahead of Shifley, Velarde, and Connor. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying why not? Like why not bring them in as your third line or bring them in as your second line? They can't do any worse because the other guys are not scoring at all, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, a Perfetti. I like Perfetti, but he's been a ghost. I mean, I talk about passenger on a cruise ship. Like grab an
Yeah.
oar and start rowing. I mean, he has just been
Keep in
just
mind, Rich, and I'll just give you these numbers here. The Moose have played the most games in the division so far, but they currently sit second in the division at 13-9-2. They had a horrible start,
yes,
7-3 in their last 10, not to be outdone by the Grand Rapids Griffins, who are 19-1-0-1.
yeah,
So that withstanding, the Manitoba Moose have had a very good season in the last, take out the first 5 games of the season.
yeah.
Um, so again, it's hindsight's 2020, right? And what do you think of their reluctance to play the young goaltenders behind Eric Comrie? Like, to me, there seems to be some level of desperation if you think that you can't play Thomas Milic to start him in a end of a bat-to-bat, but you're forced to go with Eric Comrie. But I think there's a bigger issue at play here, and maybe they don't want to subject their young goaltenders to this disorganization in front of them
Yeah.
to ruin their
It's
confidence. But at the same time, like
okay.
Thomas Milic, the games that I saw and the minutes that I saw him play, he was pretty good. He just once again was a lot of what's been ailing Eric Comrie, zero help in front of him.
To some extent, but I would argue that game in Edmonton, that wasn't the Jets, like the players' fault. That was Comrie. It was 4-0 or whatever it was. And
Yeah,
3 of the 4 goals, you know what it is? And it just shows you it's like Hellebuck. He is like, you take all these things for granted because he does it so easily. He either swallows a puck up, or if he makes a pad save or makes a blocker save, he doesn't put it in front of the net at 45 degrees or at 50
right.
degrees. He puts it in the corner. He puts his pad. He actually makes the save to steer it away, not in front of the net. 3 of the 4 goals on the Oilers scored were shots against Comrie. He kicks it out right to somebody right in front, and then they shoot on the rebound. I mean, that's on Comrie. That's not on. You could say, "Well, DeMello should have held, McDavid's stick, and so and so should have held, or checked the other guy." It's like, okay, yeah, you could say that, sure, but why is he making kick saves and throwing them straight out into the slot after a shot comes in? Really good, and that's why Comrie's a backup. I mean, he's a good kid, he's a good goalie, but he's not a regular NHL goalie because he does stuff like that. And when he's tired, back-to-back nights, probably it's harder to do that or to be able to steer it in the corner. I get it, but they obviously don't have enough confidence in Milic. And Milic had the better record to DeVincentis or
DeVincentis.
yeah. But now they're going to go with him as backup. So, okay, let's see what he can do. Milic is a tiny goalie. Man, is he small. When you look at how tiny he's compared to Hellebuck, 6'5", and Milic, I think is 5'10" or 5'11". Like he is 6. It's a half.
What do we make of the swap? Is that just to get Thomas Milic some games with the Moose now?
Could be. And just to see what they got, just to try it out. They tried out Milic, and he was he made some great saves.
Like for me, Rhett, I'm looking at this Jets schedule going forward, and I'm sure you have it in front of you. Dallas tomorrow. Excuse me, Boston, Washington, Ottawa, St. Louis, Colorado, and Utah all before Christmas, all every second day, basically. Yeah, every second day.
7 games there. And
like, I don't
literally
see
lose all 7.
How DeVincentis gets in the net here.
He may, but I'm just saying, Dallas is playing unbelievable right now. Washington is unbelievable. Ottawa's on the upsurge. The Bruins have been playing well, even though they haven't had Krug and Pasternak?
No, Krug is retired. He's with St. Louis.
Okay, no, I mean Pasternak and
McAvoy?
Sorry. McAvoy and Pasternak have been out of the lineup. So I'm just saying, then you go on the road, St. Louis. They're not great, but they're great at home, at Colorado and at Utah. That's a desert. You could go 0-7 in those games.
I'm calling it right now, Rick. The Jets are not making the playoffs.
Like, they are not great right now. So I don't know. Yeah. But again, it could all change if they buy in and they start scoring. But what does that take? I don't know. What does that take? Playing at home, they're better. So now they play the Stars, the Bruins, the Caps, and the Sens over the next 4 games over the next week or so.
Yep.
Until the next Monday. I don't know. They could go. I mean, they could win all those games. They could go 4-0. Sure, they could. But they could go 0-4. This team could easily go 0-4. They could go 2-2 and split it right down the middle. Win one, lose one,
Yep.
all the way. In my mind, if they can play like they haven't played 500 hockey yet with Hellebuck, they're playing 300 hockey because they're 0-6-1 and the 1 is a loss. So they're 3-7. So they're 300 over the last 10 games. They got to be better while Hellebuck's out. But if they can play 500 to 600, play a little bit better than 500 for the next 15 or 20 games until Hellebuck comes back, then they have a shot. But if they plod along at 3-6-1 or 3-7 over 10 for the next few weeks, that's you're right. They're going to sink so far down they won't be able to get back up again. But
I think even too, I read a stat where the Jets have the 4th most hardest schedule down the stretch.
Like down the stretch to end the year, like the calendar year, or the. But we're talking about the calendar year or what? Or
no, I'm talking about like the rest of the season.
Oh, you're like they're saying they had easier games at the beginning of the year?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And then by that same metric, it says Colorado and Dallas have the easiest schedules. But they have far and away the best records than anybody. So I don't know how much you can compute into that result.
Yeah, but the reason they say that is because they're in first place and the Jets are in 5th place, right?
Yeah,
so they say they have an easier schedule because they're playing the Jets, right? So I don't know.
So we have a few minutes left. I want to talk about some other hockey topics.
Yes.
We feel like we've talked about the Jets enough. We're just repeating ourselves. Anything else stand out in hockey that you maybe want to talk about?
What's been
maybe Vancouver? Let's touch on Vancouver if it's okay.
Why is there this trade speculation of Quinn Hughes? I don't get it. It's like a team is not playing as well as they should or as well as people expect. And the first rumor that comes out is let's trade our best player. Like, what kind of thinking is that? I don't get how these rumors come up. Like, is this legit? Like, is this actually Vancouver's actually shopping?
Apparently, they've had a conversation with New Jersey about Quinn Hughes.
Who was?
Vancouver.
They proactively talked with New Jersey about trading Quinn Hughes?
Allegedly, yep.
I don't believe it.
I don't know. Do they feel like they can lose him because his contract is up after next year? If he's already told them, "Hey, I'm not re-signing."
Could be if he says, "I want to sign." Is he going to be a UFA after next year?
After next year, not this year, but next year.
After next year, yeah, and then maybe he says.
But if you're New Jersey and you know that, and nobody wants to come to you, why would you pay Kane ransom to get him now?
Yeah, potentially. But the other option is then the Vancouver would say, "Okay, but we could also trade him." So, unless he has a no trade.
Does the starting price on the return start with Nico Hischier?
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If they want to avoid him going to UFA. I mean, if he goes to UFA and he says, "I'm going to sign with New Jersey," that's one thing. But what happens if Vancouver says, "Well, okay, but we could trade him this year and get the value of a guy that's still under contract for a year and a half and trade him somewhere else and get like a King's ransom, a superstar and a prospect and a first-round draft choice or whatever it is."
To me, this whole thing with Vancouver has gone wrong with Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
But I watched 10 minutes of their game the other day, and he looked so disinterested.
I can't figure it out. That was a guy that was on this kind of a projection, right? Like he had just come into the league, he was getting better and better and playing with good players, and he just like boom, boom, boom. Then the JT Miller gets traded there, and then it's just like, and now it's like this. Now JT Miller's gone, and he's still, to your point, I'd expect him to be even better. And
he's got basically everything he wants: the long-term contract, the distraction that he had a fight with out of the locker room, allegedly.
Yeah.
Like, what more could a guy want?
See, but maybe it's something to the point, like what the rumors were, and I heard that JT Miller he's actually a great teammate. People love him, but he's a hard lad. He's old school, right? Like he's kind of this,
Yep.
Going to the off season and going to the off season and flying around Sweden and eating meatballs and going to IKEA and assembling furniture and doing all these things in your off season and not training hard. JT Miller, he doesn't understand that. That irks him. I got another word, but that irks him. And I get it, because if you're the superstar on the team, everybody expects you to come in better shape than you were last year and the best shape of anybody on the team, right? Like Scheifele and Wheeler. Say what you did about Wheeler. Oh, he wasn't a great captain or blah, blah, blah. Wheeler and Scheifele, they were the superstars there for that 5-year stretch. They were in the best shape of anybody on that team, and they trained like animals in the offseason to be ready. And they ate right, and they slept right, and they trained right and did all that. And I heard Pettersson, he's a little bit like, I'm pretty talented. I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to get better. Or, I've got all these strengths, but I've got these 3 weaknesses. I should work on those 3 weaknesses. That's what most guys do. I've heard Pettersson is not like that. He's just wired a little bit differently. So now you got a guy who's assistant captain or assistant like you are. JT Miller is calling you out and saying, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean on your off season, you went fishing and scuba diving and here and there? How many times did you lift weights? How many times did you do anything? Did you learn any new training thing or build like your one weakness is you're kind of soft? How much weight did you add? You're 195 pounds. Did you add another 10 pounds of muscle and get up to 205? Like, I'm just saying, these are things that your trainers, your coaches would provide you as off-season regiments, and everybody would know them. It's not hidden. Everybody gets them. I know this. All the players get these assigned to them, unique for them. You got to do this. You got to get better with foot speed. You got to get better with your hands. You got to get stronger on your feet. You got to get stronger in your upper body, whatever it is. And they're supposed to do that and then come back after summer and show that. I heard Pettersson, he doesn't follow that. He does his own thing. So whatever. And to me, that is why it's that old saying, the world is filled with guys that are full of talent, but never worked hard enough to match the talent that they were given. That road is filled with guys, not just in hockey. That's in the corporate world and in any place you want to go. It's the guy that has talent and has ability and has drive and work ethic. And you put those together, now you've got something. Now you've got a special hockey player, and you got somebody that's in the NHL and a superstar potentially. So, but anyway, to me, I can't figure out Vancouver. I agree with you. That team should be winning more games. I don't know why they're not. And to me, to be talking about trading Quinn Hughes, that blows my mind. But again, if you're telling me he's a potential UFA after next year, and they may want to sort of do a restart or a quick rebuild in that way, or a quick turn, maybe not a rebuild, just a shift in direction with one guy, then with another guy. So that could be. And what's going on in the Leafland?
What's going on at the doctor's office over there, Rick?
Is that what it is? It's all players on.
Yeah, they don't have a goalie right now. Like when Dennis Hilderby is your starting goaltender, to me that's a big problem. They don't have Brandon Carlo. They don't have Chris Tanev. I know that what's his name missed time. Matthew Nyes missed time. Austin Matthews missed time. Like, to me, that would be the equivalent of the Jets taking Connor and Scheifele out of the lineup, missing Sambert and Morrissey on the back end, and losing Hellebuyck and Comrie as your goaltenders.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, Thomas Milic is your starter. Your first pairing for the Moose is in, and the bottom part of your lineup is all filled with Moose guys.
Yeah. It stuns me. Like, I would have never believed, even with the Leafs losing Mitch Marner. I know he's a good player, but the younger players they brought in some good players. They added some really nice pieces.
Oh, and as far as I'm concerned, and sorry to cut you off, the Nate Robertson experiment has to end.
Well, He played
It's just
well.
not working.
They played well, and now they scratched him again. And Berube says his play has dropped off. Okay, I guess.
I'm
But
sorry, Rhett. It's time to blow it up and start all over again.
yeah, in Toronto land,
Yep.
they're actually, I'm looking now at the schedule or at their standings. They are in third last place in their division, and they are 2 games below 500.
Crazy.
They're in
Maybe they don't
worse
want to
shape
set
than
an
the
half
Jets.
run.
What's that?
Maybe they don't want to set an half run. Maybe.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's some teams, like, you think about it, right? Like last year, what did the Jets? They started off undefeated their first 15 games, and they had a really good start, and then they hung on, right? They didn't play that same level throughout the rest of the year, but they were so far ahead. They kind of played 600 hockey, 550, 600 the rest of the way, and they still had their first place, and they hung on right until the end, and they were able to hang on to their spot there, and that's fine. So all that to say is that you could come out of the gate flying, but it's hard to maintain that pace for 82 games. It's hard. It's easy to maintain a pace of for 82 games because losing perpetuates losing, and then you get down and it just becomes a cycle of just one thing after another, and one mistake happens and then another, and then you can't get out of it. But listen, the Jets could have Hellebuck come back. They could figure this out. They could get some scoring. Like, these are talented hockey players. Like, Adam Lowry's not scoring like he did last year. Niederreiter isn't really scoring it. Like Perfetti and Nemestikov are not scoring like they did last year. So there's lots of guys that can amp up their game other than Scheifele, Connor, and Velarde. Even Josh Morrissey is not playing at the same level he did last year. And Neil Pionk, same thing. So I don't know. It could turn around. I'm not gonna.
But here's the issue, Rhett. It's one thing to go 16-1 or 15-1 in your first 16 games. The Jets really only went 6 or 7 games above 500 after that the whole season, and they were okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we knew they were making the playoffs in the first week of November last year.
Right. You're right. And I think they had to hang on, right? I think, wasn't it the last game or second last game of the season that they actually were able to push the Stars out of the way, right?
Yep, because Dallas and Colorado were playing much better hockey despite what their record showed.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe the Jets, were it not for a 14-1 run last year, this is what we would have gotten.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
I'm not throwing in the towel. I still believe.
No, I know, but it's how far back is too far back when everybody's picking up points.
Yeah. Well, but it's just interesting when you look at the standings, like all the teams, like, yeah, they're like Montreal, young team, they're in a playoff spot. Florida, Toronto, out of a playoff spot.
Is it interesting, or is that a case of age?
Right. Same thing. Utah Mammoth pushing for a playoff spot. Chicago pushing for a playoff spot. So they're there. The Jets, they're behind them in the standings. Look at in the Pacific. Anaheim in first place. Young team. Vegas right there behind them. Vegas, I mean, they're playing they're playing 500 hockey, but they've just got 8 overtime losses. They get those bonus points all the time, and they've lost a lot in shootouts and in overtime and still get a point.
Even LA at 7 overtime losses already.
Yeah. And Vegas 8, which has helped them. They don't have as many wins.
And that's honestly what's hurting the Jets. Like, if you look at their record, they have 1 extra time loss. Well, 2 now with the shootout.
Yeah. Yeah, they've either won outright or they've lost outright. That's, the way it's been. So, but I just think all these younger teams are moving up, and some of these teams that aren't younger, but they've incorporated younger players into their lineup. And I just think the Jets, to their detriment, I think they have not done as good a job of adding younger players. And maybe that's even part of the drafting. Maybe the Jets, I always used to think, the Jets are so good at the drafting. Maybe they're not that good at drafting. Maybe what's his name? That Chaz Lucius. I mean, that's just a sad thing, right? He gets injured, but he was a big, big thing. He was supposed to be like a rising star and da 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 da. Where's Brendan Yeager? Well, okay, I guess he'll come here eventually. What about that Colby Barlow? Where's Colby? It's like,
Moose.
where's Waldo? Where's Colby? What's that?
He's with the Moose.
Yeah. Is he scoring? Is he doing anything?
He's on the third line right now.
Okay.
It's just interesting. I'll leave the show with this because I know we done it all.
Yeah.
The Jets are 2 points out of the playoff spot, okay? Keep that in
Yep.
mind with games in hand on teams above them, 1 or 2 depending on the team.
Yeah.
By that same token, they're 5 points away from the bottom of the conference.
Correct. It may not, and to add to that or to end with that, it probably is not going to be realistic to your point to think that you're going to catch Colorado and Dallas unless you go on some 20-game tear where you win
has the
20
numbers been there to suggest that they're doing on a 20-game tear?
No.
Other than the first 8 games of the season?
Correct. Which means, to your point, it's going to be there. They should at best be hoping for a third place or a wild card. That's all they can really shoot for right now. But
well, let's look at this right now. Utah, third place in the Minnesota, third place in the Central right now, 35 points.
Yeah.
Dallas has 45. Colorado has 48. So kiss home ice advantage away. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Third place probably not happening with the way the Wild are playing. 7-2-1 in their last 10, although they've lost 2 in a row. But like Rit, you can't tell me. Okay, I'll just say it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. Maybe the Kraken because they have fewer games played than anybody right now at 26.
Yeah.
It's the Jets, Chicago, San Jose, Utah, St. Louis, and Seattle, in my mind, battling for one spot.
Yep.
If you feel that the Oilers are not going to drop out of it.
Correct.
Because the Oilers have played well of late.
Correct. But
so it's really 5 teams for one spot in the West, barring somebody completely falling off the rails.
Right. But when you think about it, the Jets have lost as many games as Minnesota. Minnesota's in third place. The Jets are in 6th place. But they've lost the same amount of games. Minnesota's played one more game.
The problem is those bonus points, those overtime points. Correct. One here, one there. It helps.
Correct. So, I don't know. I'm not throwing in the towel, Michael. It's still too early. I'm hoping that this new strategy with spreading the wealth around on the 4 lines is going to result in something exciting and where they're going to score some goals. So
we'll see.
I am
pessimistic.
I know, but that's your nature. That's just your nature.
Well, somebody that's been hurt a lot, it could be understood.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Especially my sports teams.
Yeah.
Even my baseball team. They can't get a good lead runner in the 9th inning to win a World Series. Forget it.
You think about how close the Jays were. Extra innings, game 7 in their yard.
Not even that. 2 steps more off the base in the 9th inning. And the Jays win the World Series.
2 steps, what do you mean?
Because Tyler Palaffa was a third in the 9th inning. If you take a bigger lead because there's nobody covering the bag, he makes it easy in the 9th inning and there's no extra innings.
Yeah.
He got caught at the plate by like a half an inch in the 9th inning in game 7. And now to say that they will go back there is very, very premature. Just ask the Winnipeg Jets. Good season one year doesn't lead to a good season the next. But anyway, that's it. It was good to be back doing this show. Very therapeutic, even though we're on both ends of the opposite ends of the scale, which is fine. Yep. I am convinced to this day that the Winnipeg Jets will not make the playoffs. Rhett, you say it's too early.
One
of us will be right. One of us will be wrong. It'll be cool to see down the stretch. We are back. That's Monday and the Monday after, and then we'll take the, believe it'll be a 1-week break for Christmas. And maybe next week we can talk about the Olympic teams, how we shape up our Olympic teams. and how we can also talk maybe about let's do the Olympic teams next week. That'll be a fun diversion for the Winnipeg Jets. Like build your Olympic teams and stuff.
Sure.
But I'll send you the parameters and then we can have our Olympic discussion.
Sounds good.
Because we promise that we'll have our Maple Leaf hockey rinks a lot better put together than the present Olympic hockey rinks. But we'll take a break and we'll see you next Monday. And we'll have some fun talking about the Olympic hockey rosters for Canada next week. Maybe we'll get into the States, but maybe not. We'll see. For Rick Petty, Michael Dell saying thank you so much for watching. And it's been a blast to be back. Thank you for being patient with us. And we'll see you next Monday night here on Game Times TV YouTube channel. Good night from Winnipeg.